Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we are
SP Film Viewers.
Du-du-du, du-du-du.
That went on too long, Paul. Copyright and all that. You always say that to me.
No.
Du-du-du.
That wasn't that long. There was just only a slight snippet.
Du-du. Du-du.
Du, du, du. I don't know.
I think we've gone off beat now.
Yeah. So as you may have gathered, there's no pre-ramble on this one because this is one of the films we'd watched when we were feeling
Under the weather.
with the COVID hit us. So.
Yeah. And then we seem to pick not so great films as well to watch.
Coincide with that movie.
Yeah, I was a little bit like, why are we watching these? I'm not feeling well, and it's not like giving me a happy feeling. Like, why have we put this on?
So, you might have guessed from the title, and obviously that little snippet I did at the beginning, we're talking about Rocky.
Yay.
As the main film we're covering today. But before we get into that, I'll briefly mention one of the other films that we did watch as well on when we were, not feeling great as well. And that was Soylent Green.
I'm not going to lie, I have shoved this into my archive already. And I know it's only been a month ago.
So, yeah.
I was a month or two since we were not really 100%. And it has gone into my archive. I can't remember anything.
It was one of the things that kind of got as part of the rental service I've got. And it's what kind of intrigued me about it, thinking, because of the fact when the film is set in 2022, it's like, what did they think the future was back then? And it's like, it's not anything like...
Which I'm grateful because it's really bleak. Like, looking at how they have to cycle for electricity. Don't get me wrong, it's probably something that eventually will happen where we get to that point where
the price is going up.
Exhausted the planet and we have run out of fuel and run out of all of these resources. And I think this is kind of what this film
is portraying. But long story short with it, I think it wasn't like it was a shock reveal of what the film is about. I think it's kind of like it's one of those things that's kind of known about, like, Soylent Green is actually people being processed into sustainable food source, basically, and that's once you know that, and there's not much more else to the film really in terms of shock value of stuff, so it's kind of like
the only thing
the film doesn't really offer much else.
Take away from it is the element of death within this film. I feel like the way that they did make that person, so that I forgot his name, the older man that was working alongside, he obviously went to be kind of put to sleep, which is something that our country doesn't really allow you to kind of, you do unless it's an animal. And it's a case of how wonderful that was portrayed. Like, what a nice way to die, like your favourite colour, watching something, being calm.
Yeah, and having the classical music play, like a nice calming sense.
Whatever your favourite music is, and I think, that makes death seem more enjoyable. I know that sounds weird, but death is a scary thing.
Yeah.
And I think that was something where I was like, if we did have that would make that a lot easier to go through.
Or if you didn't know, if you could pass away in your sleep, and you wouldn't know when it happened, then I don't know if that would be more scary, or like, because you wouldn't know it's coming type of thing. You just essentially
you wake up and you're like, where the hell am I?
Yeah, or whatever. But the only other thing I can really take away from the film is that some of the scenes I think really felt almost like James Bond-esque in the way that it was kind of like more. I think it was more the way that this detective guy was kind of like approaching this woman in the flat and everything, and then it's really like all smooth talking and stuff, and then it's like...
He just wanted the soap, let's be honest. He just wanted a clean wash and hot water. Yeah. But it just shows as well, not meaning this in a bad way, like the rich life of things. Like how they still had water, electricity and all of that. Like, wealth and money gets you everything on
thin.
planet Earth.
Yeah.
Which is just a load of crock and bull. You need to be nice to get somewhere in life, I feel.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all else really to say on that. Really,
It was a bit meh.
It was, yeah, really. I don't know what I was kind of expecting from it. to be fair, it was just a case of out of curiosity, like what more does this film have to offer? But not a great deal, and it's kind of like, oh right, the outcome, and that's pretty much it. Really, the rest is kind of just filler in between that doesn't really amount to much.
I would say to anyone, just don't waste your time. Like, if you value your time, that is. If you don't, then watch it. It's fine. But
better films out there.
Yeah,
for sure. Now, this obviously back to the main topic of Rocky. Something that I feel like it should have maybe seen, and obviously again, it's knowing aspects of what the film entails. I know there's been multiple like sequels to this as well.
Has there?
Yeah. And like obviously first outing into like what is this all about? And to be fair, it doesn't come across as a good first impression with the franchise.
Was it quite popular back in the day? Is that what it was?
Yeah, you probably will have been. Yeah. There's a lot of people think this is a good film, but being transparent, I don't see what the big appeal is really. I feel like there's a lot of problems with it more than anything. Maybe in today's standards anyway, we're looking like, oh, that's a bit off and things like that. But people might be blindsided by that a little bit with if it's their favourite film, for example, or whatever, they might look past that. I don't know. Especially
if they've grown up with it or if they've watched it when...
That. But for someone who's coming into this, however, how many years later, quite late into it,
it's definitely a culture thing. So there's a lot of things where feminism has moved on dramatically
bounds,
compared to when this film was shot, and women aren't damsels in distress anymore. They can stand on their own 2 feet, and so certain scenes you're a little bit like, this doesn't bode well with me, and it just feels quite dated. It does have that 70 feel.
It really does.
You don't think this film can't be... Certain films where you can watch them and you don't actually notice the age of them, even though they're classics and they're old. You don't really think, oh, this is stuck in that zone. Like, there's so many films, like, for example, like The Apartment. I know it's old, and it does have that kind of woman kind of authority bit where women are a little bit more
looked down upon and, treated a bit.
But it still doesn't make you feel like this film does.
I don't know if it's just obviously this is more raw and gritty type of thing. So it's like, oh, this is more realistic in that sense, because this does go on even to this day, I'm sure, with abusiveness and just mistreating women a little bit in a sense.
Yeah. It's really a weird one, this is. I don't really see the appeal. I first of all don't understand boxing. So WWF I'm fine with, like
WWE.
Whatever it is.
F1 is racing.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the wrestling side of things, that's more like a show. It's not actually...
it's a performance, it really is, yeah.
It's not like beating the crap out of somebody until they're got brain damage, It's not as brutal. It is like a...
It makes it look like it is, but, with the chairs and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's more entertaining, for sure.
It's like a stunt, kind of. It's not actually to injure somebody, whereas boxing is brutal. It's like... awful. I think it's a really horrible sport. I just don't think it should be in existence to bray the shit out of somebody.
I understand, yeah.
So first of all, that's one of my problems. It's starting off with really bloody, gory kind of boxing scenes, which really, to be fair, the money he's getting is not worth it. Like, to get your shit beaten out of you, and if you lose, you get paid £17. I don't... Dollars. Yeah. I do not give a shit. Like, I would not have somebody beat me up for £17, or dollars. I would rather go without. And if you win, you're still not getting much more. You're getting 40.
I don't know if that's... Obviously, putting into the 70s equivalent, whether that's a fair, much more like today's standards. I don't know what that would be, but...
I still don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, to be... Because, he even says throughout the film, the day after is, having a worst hangover ever kind of thing. And
he's battered
and bruised. It's so you can't do anything the day after. So that's a whole write-off.
Yeah.
For $17 if you lose. Like, when you minus it by hours and figure out your hourly rate, it's nothing. Because you've got a whole day the next day that you're not going to be able to work.
No, but it is what it is for how it works. It's kind of, it almost feels like that's kind of like a freelancing job, isn't it? You do a day's work and then you might not have anything the next day, I suppose.
Scary.
And just recover or whatever. But from the get-go, we did have to, or soon after we started, we realised we need the subtitles on because, Sylvester Stallone isn't the most articulate with his voice, and it's just really sometimes like, what are you saying?
Where's he from? Is he Italian or something? What is his accent? Is he American?
He's American.
Just like, I don't understand why I can't understand him. Like, I do understand maybe if he's got a strong accent of some form, but he just mumbles. He doesn't open his mouth. It's a bit like your brother.
No, he's not that bad.
Joe does mumble. And then you've got a tendency, you and your brother, to cover your mouth. That's even worse.
So you're saying I'm like Stallone as well?
You're not as bad. You've improved. Younger Paul, yes. You would have been. You used to cover.
Come on. That's not the same as going. It's
no,
not like you're drunk all the time.
No, it's more shyness on your and your brother's part, I think. And not like me, who you can hear me as clear as day.
It's true.
I'm like fog on. So you do get this kind of cutesy relationship within this where you think, oh, it's quite sweet, but then it goes a little bit weird at the end. So Rocky kind of has this keen interest in the lady that owns. Well, she doesn't own the pet shop. She works there. Yeah. Why was that really hard?
Yeah,
what
she
doesn't
own
do?
it, so she must.
So he seems to go in all the time to see her, and he just like this weird conversations.
Yeah, like he has to tell a joke every day, and I got a new joke for you or something now, something like that.
I think it's sweet because he wants to make her laugh, but it's a bit creepy at the same time, like a bit stalkerish.
Persistent,
yeah, and a bit uncomfortable. And clearly she's a shy girl that's like not used to this attention. And to be fair, not meaning to be cliche, Rocky doesn't look like the type that would really like her.
We don't really know why he's going for this like bookish looking girl, to be honest, because you would think someone, like who's in the gym all the time and everything would want like a, not throwing shade at her, but like a supermodel type, stunner type girl or something like along those lines. Maybe he's just very sensitive and just wants to see something in her. But
I think he sees the chase in her. I think that's what it is. I do think men, not meaning this in a bad way, like a little bit of a chase, and I think that's why he's appealing to her, because I can imagine other women just falling at his feet, and she's like,
you don't
shy.
really see that though, do you? You don't see him being swarmed by loads of women all the time, so that would argue the case on that. And it's not like, no, I'm not interested in these women, I'm only interested in her type of thing. It looks like he's, despite how he looks and might seem, he's not quite the catch that you might think he is, perhaps. And it's just like, well, this is what I have to go for. I don't know.
Maybe it's he opens his mouth and that's when he gets into trouble.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he loves his fish. He's got quite a few fish at home. Seems to have an excuse, and he bought them from her. So he's got a fish and a turtle that he bought from the pet shop, and I think that's like a good excuse to then keep going back and getting fish food.
And turtle food, yeah.
Even though I didn't know he had a turtle at one point, so I was like, why is he buying turtle food for his fish? But then it does come apparent he does have a turtle as well. So he seems to have a bit of a weird background as Rocky. He's like a bit of a hustler on the side. He seems to do somebody's dirty work for him, so I think it's like in a bit of a gang. Or
yeah, like he's the muscle to threaten people to.
It's not really though, is he? He won't even. He looks like he wouldn't hurt a fly really, because like he's meant to snap somebody's thumb off, and he doesn't. He lets him off with a warning and such. So he's a bit more insipid. Insipid. Yeah. Compared to like what he's meant to be. He's not like the big macho man he perceives to be.
That's true. One of the things I noticed a lot throughout the film, particularly at the beginning, I think, a lot of 45-degree angle walking shots. You know, like him walking down. By that I mean like the angle of, obviously, visually to the listener, I can't really explain as such. But for you, Sophie, the one where it's like the street is at a 45-degree angle and Rocky is walking down the street like that way, either towards the camera or away from the camera, and there's just like these long shots. Like, I don't really.
Do you think that's for his night fever walk?
What do you mean?
Like the Bee Gees, like they did the walking, or like I don't know, just night feverish kind of makes me. It's like that kind of walk.
We haven't even seen Saturday Night Fever, so
I know, but it's just like that kind of like he does that kind of walk as well. It's like got a bit of a swagger about him, and I think it's that they're trying to go for within those shots. Even though they're boring, they don't add up.
No, except maybe his loneliness, some of his isolation, perhaps.
Oh, see, you go deep. I just go, what's this doing?
That's what I'd say. I brought that up just to thinking that it's kind of interesting that there's quite a few of those, but it's, you know, him roaming the streets, and he's got, he has got an apartment, but it's like he's kind of like lost soul kind of.
It's not really much of an apartment either, bless him. It's like a one-man room which has like a little bit of a kitchen and pull-down bed kind of thing. It's a bit crap, isn't it?
Yeah.
To say how old he is as well in this film, it's not like he's just in his 20s. He's later on in his more like 30s, late 30s, isn't he? And it shows like the struggle of trying to be a boxer.
Yeah, it's obviously not an easy thing to get into.
Especially when you're getting older as well. You're not more
it's
agile.
not in your prime, is it? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think you also see the lonely side of the Pet Shop Girl. What's she called?
Adrian,
yeah. Because she gets called a loser by her brother Paulie.
Hey Paulie, it's me, Rocky.
Yeah, see, I call you Paulie, and you used to laugh at me.
Yeah, before you saw this film, but I'm not an asshole. I'd like to think.
Fair.
Not like him. Anyway,
no, you're not.
Even if I ever am.
Oh, hardly. So Rocky kind of has a name for himself as a boxing name, which is Italian Stallion, which always reminds me of Joey from Friends.
Does that come up in Friends?
I feel like it does, yeah. Joey's like the Italian Stallion.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's actually referencing to Rocky, and I'm not aware.
Well, I think that'll be from this film and to Friends, if that's makes used in that. I don't know. I can't really think of when that would have occurred, but it might be right. It is. Yeah. What I did learn also from this is that what Southpaw meant, which is being a left-handed hook.
So that's me. I'm left-handed.
Southpaw.
I'm amazing because I am ambidextrous. That took a bit to say, and that's because I think left-handed people, the world is catered for right-handed people.
Yep. Everywhere
you go, scissors, your mouse on a computer is always on the right-hand side. Even when you're at a restaurant, your knives and forks, they're always catered to a right-hand person. So I eat like a right-handed person. I use my computer mouse in my right hand because that's where it is, and I'm too lazy to move it to the left-hand side, and it just feels weird.
I remember my granddad he did actually have, when he used his computer, bless him, and on the left-hand side, and it was like, why is that over there? It seems this feels really weird when you're trying to use it on for whatever reason. It's just feels unnatural.
The mouse is not curved to that side. Like if you move it over, it's not the right position for your hand.
That's right. Yeah.
It's literally positioned for a right-hand person. Yeah. So there is all these things. So I was going to say slow poke. Southpaw. Yeah, is a left-handed hook, which if you're left-handed, you're more likely going to throw
them off. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something there, at least.
At least.
Well, it's not hard to tell, but you do also learn that Paulie is, let's say, an arsehole even more as the film goes on. Like, there's multiple things where he, throws out Thanksgiving turkey to get his sister out of the house because he wants, to go on a date with
I don't
Rocky,
get his aim with this because then he gets jealous that they get close and it's like, what did you want? Like,
yeah.
they've got it's actually happened what you wanted, and now you don't want that to be the thing anymore. It's like, I just don't get it. But it does seem a bit abusive towards Adrian as well.
Yeah, again, I don't really like that aspect of the film. Really, it's
it's cringy, and it's not nice to think that something's like that.
It's not cringy. It's just a bit unsettling, and I don't like confrontation much anyway. And it's even when it's not involving me in that sense. But it's not nice to be the onlooker of something like that, especially it's like when someone is so vulnerable.
Yeah, and she is like one of those victims where she's shy, she's reserved, she's not going to fight up for herself either. And I think she has the most character growth within this film, actually, that is nice to see.
Yeah, it's not like she, however, it's not like she stands up, like hits him back or anything like that. You know, like you would think, oh right, now she's get her revenge on him or something like that. She does grow, but not in the
not to a vast extent, but she does compared to being just the nervous, shy shop girl
that she was. Yeah.
So that's when everyone kind of gets to a point with Rocky where he's got the biggest fight of his life. They're kind of, somebody picks the name just because it says Italian Stallion. They're like, oh, that sounds like a good name for somebody to fight against. And it sounds great. And something to do with kind of politics or religion behind it or something like that, where it's like Apollo, he's a black man fighting a white man.
Yeah.
And it's like the kind of clash of that or the Italian side of things, and it's creating a bit of animosity behind it.
Yeah, there's a media frenzy going on with this. Yeah,
and bless him, Rocky just wants the chance. He's like, oh, it's my only shot that I'm going to get.
Chance of a life, I think is what the poster says, I think. Something like that, yeah. Because he's, from the slums or whatever, and he's just uprising underdog, really. But for an underdog story, I'm not, heavily invested in what this offers. Really.
I was pissed off with the ending, I'm not going to lie.
But we'll get to that
because this is the issue, because it's like you want to root for the underdog, but normally the underdog comes through. Especially for a British person, that normally is the case. You root for the underdog and then the underdog succeeds.
Yeah. Like in, well, obviously not British, but in like the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Rooting for Daniel. And yeah, it's like, I know he's obviously learning from Mr. Miyagi and stuff, and then it's like a punch in the air moment when he wins the tournament and all that stuff. You feel good about that. This, not so much, really. I think it's just 'cause it's kind of violent and it's just long and drawn out.
It feels like Samwise Gamgee could have gone to Mordor and back again by the time that Rocky decides to actually, bless him, 15 rounds later, I just think it's one of those where it's like, this goes on for a while. There's not much really happening within it.
Well, you get the training montage, don't you? With the music.
And the dog.
Which you only see briefly.
And then you don't know where he's gone. It's like, where's the dog? Like, I always do this, don't I?
Yeah, it's like in The Blob. It's like, where happened to the dog?
Where has it gone?
Caring for the animals more than you are the people.
But I do think this relationship with Adrian and Rocky gets a bit, it's a bit weird. One of
the problems I did have with that, it's like, do people really not see the issue with this?
It used to be probably the norm back then. It doesn't mean it's acceptable, but it was that men were more pushy, and it felt a bit rapey. Like,
it really did.
He was pushing her into a corner. He was like, you don't have to kiss me if you don't want to. But he's like literally pushing himself against her.
Yeah.
And it's like, unless you get some pepper spray out, I don't know what her other option was.
No. Or he's even like kind of forcing him to come to his apartment in the first place, which is, again, is like, come on. He didn't say, come on, baby, like they would do.
But just like pushing and pushing, like now, it's like, that's not right. Like if a woman says no, she says no.
No means no. Yeah.
No means no, means I'm not going in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue, because she was so shy and reserved, and she clearly she'd never been with a man before, and she'd not been in a man's apartment before. And it's like, come on, just give her a little bit of respect. Like Aretha Franklin, just what is the issue of like being a bit chivalrously and being a gentleman, Why do you have to be so flipping pushy?
I don't know. But
it really puts me off his character. And then I kind of get a little bit annoyed with Adrian because it's like she caves into this.
She embraces it in the end, didn't she? It's kind of like.
But then it's this weird kiss that's like, then they fall on the floor, and it's like, I'm confused. Is she happy or is he raping her? What is she actually enjoying?
No, thankfully not. But it doesn't look like a normal.
No, it's not rape. No, it's weird.
But you know, how many times that is used.
Like
it became really apparent like halfway through this film. How many times Rocky said. It was like every sentence. I was like, it was at a point where it's like, is he going to end the sentence with
Do you think that's actually the actor, or do you think that is like they wrote it into the dialogue, or do you think he just says constantly? It feels like you could have made a drinking game out of this, like for your friends.
You'd be absolutely
sloshed,
tanked by the end of it. Honestly, I don't know, like if that happened from almost the get go, but it just became more apparent. I think it was around the ice skating part when he's taking her on a date and stuff. That was becoming more apparent. It's like, oh my god, how many times are you saying the end of the sentence? I know we're kind of bad for saying like so or yeah, me in particular, you're going yeah like half the times to agree with something, and when I'm coming to editing, it's like, how many times are you saying that, Paul? But this just seems like very apparent and annoying.
I'm so sorry if we annoy our users with so and yeah, but at least he's one of those things where no, I don't know. Like,
it's a bit when people say, you know what I mean.
It's like, no, I don't. Clearly, that's why I'm like questioning it.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, like, well,
it just annoys me. What was it on How I Met Your Mother? Like, that was a thing with Robin. Like, she kind of said something, and people made it a drinking game.
I can't remember.
I don't know if it was actually, but it's just so frustrating.
And that it just kind of, you're just always waiting for that to appear from his lips, really. And it just. So that kind of irritated me as the film went on after that fact, when it kind of more apparent that was going on. So, yeah. So another mark down.
Big X. I do think as well with this, it gets to a point of where it shows what fame does to a person. Not maybe to Rocky, but the people around him. Like, I understand why famous people could struggle with not knowing who are the true friends or relationships. So he gets kicked out of his boxing locker, gym kind of thing, and says, oh, a new face is coming in. And then the person who owns the gym is then like falling over him, wanting to train him, be his manager. And it's like, you didn't want anything to do with him 2 weeks ago. Yeah. But now, because he's going to be on the big championship game, you want everything to do with him. And it's like, so fickle.
I know. I wrote down, it's like 10 years too late. And it's like, not quite 2 weeks. But it's something, obviously he's been training there for quite some time with this Mickey.
And he's wanted him to kind of publicise and get him into bigger gigs and stuff like that. And he's
had no interest.
Yeah.
Because he's always a loser or whatever. And
stringing him along
and
for
now
his
it's
money.
like, ooh, yes, I can get in here now.
Like, if that was me, I'd been like, you've had 10 years, you've scuppered your chance. Yeah. I'm going to do it by myself.
The actor in that as well, it's kind of a bit odd. Because the only thing else I know him from was when we covered Clash of the Titans.
I don't remember that film. I know I didn't highly rate it.
He was the kind of elderly prophet guy that was helping Perseus out.
Didn't he have like many squeezes, or was that the god that did have?
No, that was the god.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, he was down on Earth, and he was.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, he was the kindly old man who was looking after the owl and everything, and just.
I can't remember the owl. Oh my god, Sophie.
The owl. Bubo, the owl.
Oh yeah. Let's see, that was the best bit, wasn't
it? Yeah. But so it's kind of like interesting to see him acting differently, because he was kind of like a kind old man in that film, and then this one he's a bit more of a arse, and he's like, and then he's trying to get involved with Rocky, training him up and everything and all that kind of stuff. So you get
just using him.
Yeah.
So then you get him trying to get fit.
Yeah, with the training montage, and the music and everything, and doing the punching the meat and stuff in the freezer locker.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's all this famous. Again, it's like when you say like things that you've from pop culture, like things from Back to the Future or Indiana Jones and stuff. It's just there's one of the things you just know. The music when they always play when they come out to the ring or whatever.
But then that's the only bit you do know. The rest of it you're like... And
no one's not mentioning anything about the whole rapey-ish coming onto people. Things, they gloss over that bit.
Well, they end up in a nice relationship at the end, don't they? That's the thing.
Yeah, they do.
It's weird, like, the way it pans out, to be honest.
Because it's going through that whole spectacle at the end. We'll get to the end now. With the Apollo Creed and obviously making a big spectacle of it and dressing up as Uncle Sam as the the American Idol and stuff like that and everything, making a big show of it, and like you say, like going 15 rounds and for what? Really, when it's kind of like it was a tie, wasn't it?
But then he still loses.
Yeah.
But he was the one standing up last, so I didn't get it. What was the point? Got his ass beaten, and so did the other guy. For what?
Yeah, his nose gets bust after this, and he has to cut his, which I think is absolutely disgusting. Like, you have to cut his eyelid open just so he could see. It's like, just thinking about that now, just
cringe.
Creeps me out. Yeah.
Also, he hasn't had his nose broken in 63 fights or something ridiculous, and he gets his nose broken in this one. I know he does say, I was a nobody before it, so it really doesn't matter if I win or lose. But after being beaten up that badly, I think it matters to me. I would be pissed off.
Yeah, gone through all that time and not having to be hurt that badly.
Then for what? And then you're just going to have to go home and recover now? I really was a bit disappointed that he didn't win. Yeah,
because I assumed that was what was going to happen. I don't really care to check out the other ones, to be quite honest with you. Of like, does he win any of the other matches in the future? Maybe someone could do like a short run of like which films he wins, which ones he loses. Get in touch about that. But I think he gets the girl. I mean, he already had a girl anyway, but she's kind of still like goes Adrian and like.
I don't get that bit of like proper shouting and like what is he wanting her to do? Like,
give her a hug and like
he's bloody and beaten up and he's just like shouting it like the top of his voice. It's like
that's all he cares about at that moment because he's got nothing else. I don't know.
Maybe
it's meant to seem like an endearing, sweet moment, but it doesn't really. It comes across as like, I'm just desperate. Like, have one person to me. Yeah. So that's what.
But I do like the way Adrian's dressed when she's coming running after him. Her style does change. Shows her confidence has grown. Like the love of Rocky has somehow made her more like.
I don't know what turned her around, but
made her more confident. So that's always a good thing. Even though it was a bit pushy at the beginning.
Definitely. I think that's everything else. Other than there's another instance where it seemed like a EastEnders Christmas scene where Paulie has a go at Adrian again, like yelling at her, is like, what is this about? Like, I don't want to see a film where this is all going on and about like domestic violence kind of.
It's awful in the way he's treating it. At least you're not like that, Paulie. Think you wouldn't get away with that, would you? I'd like you too much if you did it. I'd be like, do you mind?
Yeah, stand up for yourself. Yeah. Maybe in the 70s. Is different.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Still probably Decky.
I can believe that, probably. Yeah. Okay, well.
It goes to you first.
Yeah, it does. Jeez.
I'm so happy about this. I like it when Paul hasn't seen a film.
Except when you don't know what to expect. But I guess that was the case with this as well, wasn't it?
It seems to be that it gets worse when it's one that you haven't seen.
Yeah,
which annoys me.
The classics,
but they're not.
And then this because this really didn't. I mean, I'm not big on sports films the best of times.
You're not big on sports in general.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So something of this was. I know I had to see at least this one at some point and check it out, but it didn't really do anything for me. Really. It doesn't really make me intrigued to see what the other ones hold, really. This is like, okay, you've not really sold me on this. It's not like, I can't wait to see what happens in the next fight or anything like that. It's just not intriguing. So it's kind of a bit tricky as to where to put it as such, because it seems like very harsh if we get really low. But
level of enjoyment as well needs to
yeah,
be
it's
in
the
there.
enjoyment really. So I guess.
Would you watch it
But
again?
I don't think I would. No, I don't think I would.
Honestly, that definitely makes an impact.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to watch it again, then clearly what does that say?
Yeah. Right, people could slate me for this.
Well,
I think I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay, no.
3 out of 10. That sounds so harsh, but I just don't think there's no reason for me to go watch this again or
No, I agree.
or anything like that. God, that sounds so brutal. But
no, not to be fair, because I'm thinking of 4 anyways, so it's like I don't even know why I'm thinking of 4. I think I'm just throwing it a little bit of a bone.
Because I was still thinking, should be 4, should be 5.
No, it really shouldn't. It's not like as bad as the Mario plumbing one. It's not, but it's like
that was a 1, wasn't it for you?
Well, yeah,
that was the lowest.
It's okay. I watched it. It wasn't like it was torturous to watch, and it had an okayish storyline. But it was like I would never watch it again. I wouldn't go, oh, Rocky, yeah, let's put that on. It never will happen. And it's like I've seen it, done it.
The iconic music. That's all you need to know, really. And that's the
best part.
That part of it. The rest of it is just stuff I don't care to know about, really.
Yeah,
and
the relationship isn't really even a relationship.
No,
it's like
it's not endearing or anything like that.
You don't root for them.
And
they don't win anyway, so what's the point? Yeah. The whole moral of the story is the underdog would win, you'd have thought. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what have I actually watched?
The girl, that's it. But he already had it kind of anyway, so I don't know. It's not like she was like, oh, I'm opposed to you fighting, and then she turns around at the end.
No.
Yeah. So I'm 3. You're what?
4.
You're going 4.
3.5.
Okay, 4.
Throw it a bone.
Okay. 3.5.
3.5.
I'm going 3. Okay. Which is kind of strange when you think about it that way. I thought you would be on the same wavelength as I would, like scoring wise, but
I am really.
By 0.5.
Yeah.
Higher though. You keep being a bit more generous.
I am. It's just like, it's not too bad, but it's not great. It's just alright.
Okay.
Just there, isn't it? Some people like it. I don't.
I didn't really care for it. Even thinking back on it now and looking back, it's been a while obviously since we've seen it, but I'm just looking back through the notes and thinking, no, it was just not for me. Sorry, people.
Well, I upset everyone with E.T., so
But that's understandable because I find him freaky, so.
He is.
And other stuff. But come with your pitchforks and torches.
We're not Shrek.
if you're angry at us, but
please don't. But just come with
angry comments.
No, just come with really good reasons why we would like it. That's what I would really love to know what somebody really likes about that.
Yeah. Start a conversation based on that. That would
that would be better than kind of slating us. I would say try and convince us.
Otherwise, we're easily manipulated.
See, try and tell us what we've missed. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you still want to check out some of our other episodes where we're less harsh, you can find us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from. And if you still like us and you still want to follow us, we do have a Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So it's under the handle SP_filmviewers. And if you want to rate our podcast, hopefully 5 stars. Hopefully not like, 1 star, like, oh my god, this just because it's one review, you're terrible. You can do so on Apple Podcasts and wherever else they do the rating system. That'd be appreciated. All nice stuff, and if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you once again for listening, and we will speak to you next time. Speak to you next time. Bye. Bye. Bye.